like to welcome everybody to another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast. Joined once again, second time around, the Fingers. What's good, man?
Was good. Thank you for having me back, and glad to be back. What has it been? A year? 2 years? The time is just
Probably
crazy.
almost 2 years. I think it was like
Yeah,
spring of 2021, maybe.
yeah. That's
Right,
crazy.
yeah,
I don't even
yeah.
know where my mind was. My alarm's going off. I'm being like a terrible guest. Alarms going off all over the place. The Yeah, where was I 2 years ago? Like time is just crazy.
It is, it is. I've been kind of, tracking some of what you've been doing and gotta say, I'm proud to see where you've gone in the last, since then, since we talked last on the show. And a lot of things we'll get into as far as, you told me about wanting to do some more things in the sync licensing space. And we're gonna get into some of that as well. But yourself, man, you've been good.
Yeah, I won't complain. And like you said, been really diving in on like sync movie trailers and um spending time with family and just been enjoying uh the journey, the music journey. Didn't expect to go in the direction that I'm going, but really been enjoying it. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, I guess to start off, and I just got through watching your your summary of NAMN 2023,
Yeah.
and I didn't quite get through it all because I started about like an hour ago, and with the YouTube commercials and everything that kind of extended a little bit here and there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely like what I was seeing there. What was that overall experience like?
It was incredible. So last year was the first year I went in person, and then this year, um, I was actually last year I was a guest, and then this year I was a speaker and a panelist. I put together this incredible panel on sync licensing and pitched it to NAM, and they accepted it, and the panelists themselves accepted. So I was definitely appreciative of all of them. People I've been studying in the sync licensing space, and just being at NAM and meeting with different companies and meeting up with sync agencies that I work with, and trailer music libraries, and being in LA in general, and California, being at different studios every night and just linking up and networking while out there. Really is a vibe out there. I could uh, I could definitely see if I can make some things happen, living out there, or at least spending a few months out there every year, and really doing some things musically, which would be the dream. But have some great connections out there, and really enjoy at least getting out there for NAM every year.
Yeah, it's one of my personal goals to get out there at some point very soon because I mean everybody, man. I look, yourself and there are other YouTube creators too that go to NAM and everybody just looks like first and foremost they're having a blast. And then
Yep.
secondly, it's just probably like a lot more informative material because, I've been to other like producer related events before, but nothing to the magnitude of what NAM is. And just the fact that you talked about the panels and then just seeing a lot of the new hardware, new plugins
Yeah.
that a lot of these companies unveil, usually what, March or April every year. I remember it used to be in January, but yeah, like you said, the pandemic kind of shifted things a little bit. But yeah, that's definitely one of my goals. Now, what was that panel like? Because it was a African American sync licensing panel, and I saw a small clip that you posted. But kind of go more into that. What was that panel like? Just a lot of people that have experience with sync licensing, or was it a little bit more than that?
No, that's exactly it. So the guys, Jared Alua, XJ Will, Excalibur Zero, Clint Music, Nelson K. Johnson, Real J Nolan, Daraj. These are guys who, when I was started to get back into sync over the last year and a half, 2 years almost, I was finding these names and these people. and I just kept seeing them pop up. You type in hashtag sync licenses and you just see what comes up and start doing research on like social media. And these guys, their names kept popping up. And then these guys they're teaching about sync licensing, but they also have placements. So a lot of times people are teaching things that they're not actually doing. These are guys who are teaching what they're doing. So they're getting placements on the big shows, on the sports networks. Daraj just got the second Black Panther placement, and he accepted the call. So all these guys accepted the call to join the panel. I didn't really know them personally. They didn't know me personally, but and I asked a lot of them, what made them accept the call, and they were like, they just saw, you know, things that I was doing, and they saw that there was some credibility there. So yeah, definitely appreciate them. I don't know if NAMN will accept that many again, but it was really great, a really great moment for music, a great moment for sync, a great moment for African American music, Black music, and that's the vision that I sort of had, and thank you to NAMN for allowing that vision to come to fruition.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you to Nam for allowing that. And then, I mean, that also shows, the power of networking as well, especially online. Because, kind of like what you were saying, about just kind of doing research online. I've had like other guests come on also talking about that's how they found direct lines to some of these music supervisors with these different television and film companies. Could you kind of go into, I guess, what is your process as far as getting or pitching your music, should I say, for film and sync licensing opportunities?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it was finding libraries to uh, align with, and I tell this a lot. The mistake I made was I would come up with these lists. I would find these lists. A lot of the guys I mentioned, they share lists for free. There's a lot of lists you can get online of sync libraries, and I would find these lists of hundreds of libraries. Alphabetical order. I would put them in alphabetical order if they weren't, and I would just start going through. So I might take a day and say, okay, today I'm gonna email or go to the website of 5 libraries. And the problem there is I would start with A, but then there would be so many A's that I would never get out of the A's. So the the best way to approach it is to find libraries that are doing the music and genre that you make, and then also find the libraries that are getting the work. And you can find that from following the guys that I mentioned. You can find that in different groups online, Facebook, maybe Reddit, mostly Facebook and LinkedIn for me. There's a lot of sync activity going on those social media platforms where you can find libraries that are getting placements, and then you can go to their website and see if they're accepting submissions and if it's the genre you are creating. So a lot of it's just research, whatever time you have, you want to have some music already readily available. But now I'm at the point where I'm working on sort of briefs, either custom briefs for both sync and trailers. I'm working on right now. I'm working on a project for a library where they want sort of some upbeat stuff for like summertime season coming up. So I'm working on that. So now it's a lot of getting the work from the libraries that I am aligned with and I'm working with, and working on things for them because they accepted me into their, company. So it's like I want to serve them before adding too many more new ones. But for a while, it was like I was reaching out to like 50. I think I reached out to like 100 libraries last year
Wow.
in the summer. And I probably heard back. The problem was if I didn't hear back from like in 2 or 3 weeks, I just submit more. So let's say June, July, I was reaching out to libraries to their website or email, and it wasn't until like Thanksgiving where I was starting getting responses. And let's say out of 100 or so, I probably got like 20, and about half of them were like, "Yes, we want to work with you." So the problem there was like now I have to figure out time to work with 10 different libraries. So I would suggest not doing that. Go with one at a time. Work your way through, maybe just a handful at a time, because they might respond, and if they all say yes, then you have a problem, a good problem to have. But if you don't have the time to serve 100 libraries, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. What one of the things that you said in there too, that I think one artist that or even producers need to kind of take away from that is so many times, and I've kind of learned from this as well, is we're submitting music, but it might be a different sound for, that submission compared to what they're looking for. And, I like the fact that you are also saying find kind of that publishing opportunity or that film and sync opportunity that is kind of in the lane that you're in terms of your sound. And aside from that, also, I think it's a good idea for, a lot of creators to experiment and maybe step out of the box and try to learn how to, like, I don't know if it's an adventure movie and they're looking for a certain type of sound for that adventure movie, learn how to kind of fit that, I guess, that mode, that lane. If you need to get into a film or sync licensing opportunity versus maybe you may be submitting something for like ESPN, something a little bit more upbeat. But I'm just saying that to say that you'll be a little bit more versatile in terms of some of the film and sync licensing opportunities.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you have you like has that been something for yourself that maybe over the years as you gain more experience that you've kind of also kind of went down that path yourself? You have your own sound, for example, but at the same time, you kind of also you basically were versatile enough to be able to submit to different opportunities that maybe required a different sound.
Yeah. So I think the great thing about sync is there can be different opportunities. So you might one day or really in the same day, you might get something where it's like, hey, we need a R&B song, and then a couple hours later, we need a country song, we need a orchestral cinematic, and you can get all that from there are companies that are doing all kinds of genres. There are some companies that only specify or only work in certain genres. There are some that only work with songs that have vocals. So you have all these different avenues that you can pursue. So for me, yeah, the challenge was which lane do I want to be in? And with sync, you can really be in multiple lanes and you can get, placements in different genres. And that sort of led me, the sync journey led me into like the trailer music space, which is, a whole different sort of mindset, a different beast altogether. And then there's a little space in between like sync and trailers that's like combining sort of like sync with trailers where you can have like hip hop trailers and things like that. So there's ways to combine these different avenues and just got to find out where what companies will help you place those songs on some great projects.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, there's so much to learn when it comes to it. Like, one of the biggest things that I even learned, like even the endings instead of maybe more fades, they like those sting
Yeah.
instant endings on a lot of these songs. So I think that, if you're looking to get into sync and licensing opportunities, definitely study, find resources like yourself. And do you have any other like places that maybe someone who's looking for these opportunities can explore?
Yeah, like I said, music libraries, there's a bunch out there. You can go to their websites, a lot of them, and you can listen to stuff they have placed. I like to go to their social media to see if they have like updated placements there, or at least on their website. If a library really hasn't had much placements, or you haven't heard like much from them over the last year or two, you might want to reconsider, submitting to them. But there's a lot of libraries, there's a lot of work and opportunities out there. But it all just comes down to research. I know what I like for the panel. One of the first questions was like, how do we submit? And what I like was right out the gate, Raj was starting to share libraries, like and that's what people. He's like, that's what you're here for, which is great. So for your audience, I will share the Pink Shark Music is one. Um, uh, there is Lyric House is another one, which I think really specializes in music with vocals. And then on the trailer side, there's things like Ghostwriter and Brass Tracks, and there's a bunch of libraries on that end. So yeah, there's almost an I don't want to say infinite, but there's a lot to choose from. Like I said, I had a list of hundreds of libraries, and I just stopped going through it because I was just like, okay, I'll just pick and choose, and then the ones that I start seeing getting placements, I'll just try to see if I can work with them, and connect with them. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of libraries out there to pick and choose from and to submit to. And like I said, a lot of them have a open door policy where you can submit either on their website or email. um, and they tell you what to submit, how to submit. So it's a lot easier to submit than some might think.
Yeah, and these are great opportunities to look into as well, because I think that yeah, a lot of creators, their ultimate goal may be getting signed, but then you may also have some creators that they're fine behind the scenes because they're getting these sync licensing placements,
Yeah.
and they may not prioritize getting signed as much as they value just being independent and creating music the way that they want in 2023. So there are a lot of opportunities in sync and licensing. I need more opportunities myself. I got a couple in gaming, but I want to get something in the world of like commercials, movies, TV shows. I watch a lot of ESPN, so things like that. You got the NBA playoffs going on right now, and no telling how many people, because I hear these beats on these commercials and I'm like, yeah, this person, whoever made this. In fact, this was during regular season, but I'm subscribed to League Pass, and I was watching a game one night and I heard there was this loop that I have that I've gotten off a splice, and I heard that same loop, somebody just added some drums behind it. And
Yeah.
like that was something there that went from just being a loop to a sync and licensing opportunity. So I mean, it may not always be that simple, but you just never know sometimes where that can take you. Because I have heard a lot of stories about creators that have used just simple loops that they got from either a sound pack or a splice, and nothing's wrong with it. I mean, everybody does it, but you just gotta, I just think that a lot of with a lot of avenues like a splice, for example, that's another place you can actually go on to. And just like you were saying, if you find somebody that, let's say they're looking for a pop beat or R&B beat, or old school hip hop beat, you can go into that placement site or that submission site and see what they need. Go on to Splice, look something up of the same genre, create it, submit it, and let the chips fall where they may. So you know, um, yeah, I think a lot of creators do need to look into these opportunities more as well. Let's get into some of the
Yeah.
content that you've been creating. Um, how has just creating content, because I know you do a lot with like Logic Pro. I know sometimes you review sound packs that you might come across, or libraries that you might come across. Um, but how has just overall creating content helped you grow your brand? And then also, like, with that being said, do you kind of notice a trend as far as what your subscribers or what your viewers want, or do you kind of just say, hey, I'm gonna focus today on Logic, I'm gonna focus on sound packs?
I need to get better with that because I do like sample library. And one thing you mentioned about Splice, it is there are a lot of companies who don't like when you use like sample loops and packs in your submissions to like sync licensing. So I really don't use a lot of sample packs unless there's samples that I've created. So getting to the next point. But yeah, so with the social media, I used to look at numbers, but I don't, and I probably should to get a better analytics of what people like. But I post all kinds of stuff. So it could be trailer music, it could be sync licensing stuff, or like gems. It could be actual music I'm working on. Today I went live while I was creating a track for this library, a pop track. So it could be something like that. It could be me doing an open verse challenge. So there's like it's all
Yeah,
I'm sort of the glue there, but it could be like a million things related to music. So that's that. And then with YouTube, I actually haven't posted a lot recently, but I used to post a lot of reviews. And the reason why I haven't posted on my page is because I am working with other companies now to do like library reviews where they send me sample packs. One company is the Samplist, so check out the Samplist on YouTube, where I'm one of their reviewers. So they would send like libraries and VSTs and sample packs to review. and I would review that for them. So a lot of it just takes time. So I do have videos that I need to upload to my page. I just need to get down and schedule them. I have videos that I've been recording. I have still iOS videos from like 2 years ago that I haven't uploaded yet because it's just all backlogged and back ordered. And I just need to take like a weekend and schedule them to upload to YouTube. They might be outdated by now, but it's still great content. So yeah, that's part of it. The other part is I have to figure out how to. I would like to figure out how to go live on YouTube with my DAW. So I just need to take another day or two just to figure that out. And I sometimes I sit down like, okay, I'm going to figure it out, and then something else comes through, another brief I got to work on. It's like, okay, I got to make this music as opposed to figuring out how to go live and share stuff. But once I figure that out, I think that'll streamline a lot of things for my process. Where sometimes I just want to sit down and just show the plugins that I'm using, but then it's like I got to record it, then I got to edit it, then I got to upload it. Whereas if I can go live, it's just all in one. It's recorded, it's uploaded, and it's all live. So yeah, that's a couple of things. But with content, I'm always making music. So it's like, okay, if I'm gonna make music today, or since I'm gonna make music today, because I make music every day, what can I do in addition to making the music? It's like, okay, I'm going to make it. Is it for a project? Can I go live and share how I'm making it? Can I go live after? Can I share it, like snippet of it online on stories? So for me, everything I make, even if it's a review for a library, it's like, okay, it's going to be a review for a library, but then I'm going to take the whatever I make in this review and then also turn it into a track or a song or something for sync or send it to an artist. So I did a review a couple of days ago that while I was doing the review, I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a song because I really like how it's turning out. So I try to have multiple purposes or repurpose things so that it doesn't just serve one thing. It can be used for multiple things and avenues. But with content, I'm always creating sometimes without even thinking about it. So it's like, okay, let's make music. I was like, okay, well, let's just share this right now. But I always have content to share, even if it's backlogged and back ordered, or this time last year, the social media reminds you what you posted, this date, the last 5-10 years, and you can always just repost that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of like other creators kind of lose sight on the fact that content is always it's around you every day. I mean, if you make a beat every day, that's some content right there. And you just have to, in a lot of cases, just turn on the camera and work. And I
Yeah.
think they lose sight of that in a lot of cases. And um, at the same time, you also kind of talk about like long term, it does come a day when you may see a beat making video you did last year come back up, and you're still, of course, creating new content, but at the same time that because I'm learning this right now from TikTok, this on this day feature, um, I'm noticing beat making videos that I put out a year ago, and I'm putting those out again on TikTok and Instagram for that matter. And it's kind of still in a lot of ways allowed me to be able to grow not only on IG but even from a standpoint like I wasn't using YouTube Shorts a lot then,
Mhm.
and I started posting those to YouTube Shorts, and I noticed that has also built up interaction and just a lot more views as well as subscribers, engagement overall on my YouTube page. So, content is king, and I think every creator, whether you're artist or a producer, if you're artist, maybe do some blogs about your session, maybe
Mhm.
also about your shows. If you're a producer, beat making videos, some of I mean, you mentioned it, which something I need to do, but talking about some of the plugins that you use, some of the sounds
Mhm.
that you use, going live. In fact, that's the biggest part that I need to get better at is going live, because I prefer to edit the content the way that I
Yeah.
want, then put it up. But content is content no matter how you doing it as well. So I mean, you mentioned it that a lot of artists and producers kind of need to take note of. And I think it's just something that, instead of just focusing on the music, something that you can have in addition to the music, all the content that you put on YouTube, IG. And then I mean, you got people you mentioned the what is it that when you collab or yeah,
Uh,
use
not collaboration. What is it?
When you do these videos with the artist, maybe you making a beat.
Oh, like a open verse challenge
Yeah,
or
yeah, open verse
yeah.
challenge. Yeah. What's that been like too? Because that's something I've had a couple of artists that they may tag me in a reel they create
Hmm.
that they're doing a rap over one of my beat making
Yeah.
videos. And I think it's pretty cool, to see just because whatever they're freestyling or whatever they write
Hmm.
about, it's at times I never kind of have that concept in my head, and just to hear somebody flowing over one of your tracks, I think is pretty cool. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because it started out as a joke, and I still like I would say I'm not a rapper, which I'm not, and like don't take it seriously. But then people were like, you got bars, whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just something I do as a break from like the trailer music and the orchestral stuff and the sync licensing. And I think last summer I did one a day. And I think last year I ended up doing 60, 70 open verse challenges.
Wow.
Haven't done as many this year, but what I started doing recently was using the AI to take my beats that I've created for artists. So I have albums for artists that I've created. And I started with Rick Ross. I have a instrumental album I created for Rick Ross, and I would take the AI Rick Ross and I would write a verse, and I would record it and put the Rick Ross sort of voice on there. So I posted those recently on social media. I told my wife
I
I'll probably
saw
get
one.
banned from
Yeah.
social media. Yeah, it's a great way to sort of pitch your songs. If you like, if one day I'm in the studio with Rick Ross, I'd be like, oh yeah, I already wrote, I already produced for you. Like I already got 2 songs with you. He'd be like, what? They're like, but so I'm thinking of going back to these albums. I have one for Drake, one for um Hey Rocky, one for Hitmaker, one for Usher, and like going back and putting like the AI voice onto some of those songs before I get banned from social media. But that's like another journey. The open verse challenges are also great because it is allowing me to work out sort of the muscle of like writing and rhyming and and putting verses and choruses and songs together so that if, one of my favorite producers is Pharrell, and like he can go in the studio and give you a beat, but he can also give you a hook and a verse on there. Same with a lot of those producers, Swiss Beats, Timbaland. So they can help you if you need the help. So that's sort of me exercising that muscle so that when I'm in the studio with an artist, or if I send a beat to an artist and they're like, I really don't know what direction to go with this, I'm like, okay, let me just record something that can inspire you, or let me just write something real quick that can inspire you to go into the direction that you think you want to go. Because I come from the belief that every producer, every beat that every producer makes, they have an idea for it. And if not, they can quickly create an idea for it, whether that comes out of their head or not, but they have like a melodic, a vocal idea for the beat that they create. At least that's how I am when I'm making beats. But I really like hearing what people come up with that I would have never thought about, to at least to the formal beats. For the orchestral stuff, it's just I never know what people are going to come up with if they sing on that cinematic stuff, because that's a whole different like side of things.
Man, yeah. It is kind of cool just to see, because you could be thinking, all right, I don't know, whatever you want to rap about on one track or one song or one video, and they're just having a completely different thought about, the way
Yeah,
they're coming at the song. And it's almost
yeah,
like if someone tells us to draw a picture of the same thing, you're gonna draw it basically mentally how you view it.
mhm.
And I'm gonna draw it the way that I view it. So I think, that comes similarly to making music as well. Whenever two people hear beats. Um, yeah, so what's on deck for the remainder of 2023?
Yeah, well, definitely. This week is finishing the project, the album for the sync library. I would love an opportunity to get back to LA. If for a couple weeks, ideally a paid opportunity. So I'm just putting that out there. If any companies or studios or anything, so love that just because it's a different vibe out there. Um, just making music really, going after more sync opportunities, more trailers. The other thing I did mention, I got music into Disneyland,
Yeah, yeah.
at Disneyland attraction. So while we were at NAMN, I had my wife and kids, and to experience that with them was definitely key moment for me in my life, pivotal or impactful moment, being able to walk into this attraction and then hear my music and have my family there to hear the music. Um, so more of that would be great. More opportunities to score for Disney and of course any other uh, companies and theme parks and attractions would be incredible. Just something that was I would have never thought of in at all for me, like in my career. And yeah, so just making music and going after all these opportunities, making these connections, networking, and also I'm interested in public speaking. So doing more, getting on more stages. I don't know if it'll happen this year or just setting the stage for next year. But NAMN, really enjoyed putting that panel together, and hopefully working with them next year. Next NAMM is in January, so it will be back to January. So hopefully, I can work with them on not only this panel but some other ideas I have for them. And yeah, just keeping going and running the race and at my own pace.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Nam, once again, you I did see on the video you met Jordan Rudess out
Yes.
there. And talk about that experience because I know he does a lot of work with Neil Shred. He did some work with Arturia. He's really all over the music production space. I mean, you name it, you may
Yeah.
find a preset from Jordan Rudess if you're using an iOS app, even.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like? Was it a brief kind of touch base, or did he kind of spread some knowledge?
It was he is so busy during NAM, and I saw him last year, but I just didn't get a picture with him. So a lot of times I'm not a big picture taker, so this was probably the first year where I really took pictures to like document everything and then put the video out. I don't even think I put the video out last year. I took pictures last year, but I didn't put a video out. So I saw him last year, and I've seen him on like virtual sessions when testing like apps and things. I told him I'm a beta tester for all your apps, and he was just like, "Thank you." The day that I took the picture with him, he's always all over the place. Like he had one session where he was, doing piano for one of the companies out there, and then he was jumping to another booth to play piano over there. So he's just running all over the place that week. But to have a moment just to have like even 5 seconds to chat with him and take a picture. And finally got the picture because last year I was like, I didn't, I saw him and I was like, waved or shook his hand and did take a picture and just hi and bye. But starting to document meeting these people and just having that sort of memory in my mind, but also have the picture. So, but Jordan's awesome. His apps are incredible. I think he is, for those who don't know, I think he's like the top, he's been rated like the top five, probably top one, like keyboardist in the world. So yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Jordan. That would be, amazing to just get a chance to. I don't care if it's just maybe 5 minutes, just to
Mm.
pick his brain, maybe on some of his experiences, whether it's sound design or just in the music industry overall, because he's been at it for quite some time, and he's been
Yeah.
a big pioneer over these iOS apps
Mhm.
since the beginning of kind of like iOS becoming a thing for music production. So, he's probably one of the first producers, in fact, major producers out there and sound designers to use a lot of iOS apps and then get, as far as sound designing and development of iOS apps. So, yeah, definitely shout out to Jordan Rudess. Yourself, where can our viewers and our listeners find you at online?
Yeah, the Fingaz, let me see, can you see the name? Fin, I don't know if you can see the name. Gaz, it's all blurry and whatnot. Fin, if I turn the chair a certain way. Gaz. On social media, defingaz.com, DAFINGAZ.com is the website. I don't have the service up yet. I do have some services up there where we can do virtual production sessions and things like that. I am starting to offer virtual trailerizations of your song. Basically, if you have a song and you want to make it format it so that it would work in like a movie or TV show, that is a service that I'm offering right now. I actually have a lot to trailerize. I have a lot of work from NAMM. From artists and producers that I met there, which is another great thing about NAMM. You could turn the corner and next thing you know, you're talking to like Kendrick Lamar's engineer, or Rihanna's engineer, who I talked to both of them. Pensato's Place hosted a great event where there were like 15 of these people that are working with the top artists, and you could literally get up in line and have a chat with them for like 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, there's NAMN is really a great uh, conference or a great event to start to network and build those relationships that can carry you in your career further. And not just NAMN, there are other events. I think NAMN is probably the biggest as far as attendance and things like that. There are other events though, and other sync events and music events, such as AES, which is in New York. There's like Sync Con, there's Whoop It Up, there's a Revolt Music Conference. So there are other events that you can look into, but NAMN is sort of like the catch-all, and it's an annual thing. It might even be bigger when it's back in January next year. So yeah, I'm not endorsed or sponsored by NAMN, but I should be at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Every creator should want to get out there to NAMM. I'm definitely gonna try to get out there myself next year. Want to kind of like my own personal bucket list items. Plus, just like you said, being in LA, I haven't been in LA too often. I think it's been definitely over like 10 years I've been out
Yeah,
there. So I definitely want to touch down because I hear a lot of other people that I know that whether they've moved out to LA or just went out there for a moment. There was this guy actually I used to work with, and he picked up and he moved out to LA, and now he's been getting a lot more shows and some other opportunities out there that he may not have gotten out here in Dallas. And the music scene is drastically different both places. I think Dallas is more of a hotbed for producers as to where
mhm.
I think LA is kind of more better for like artists. So yeah. And then I mean, of course, I mean, you talked about meeting Kendrick Lamar's engineer, and so you never know who you're gonna come across, especially at
Yeah,
NAMM. Even would like to sit in on one of your panels at some point soon. So
yeah,
I'm gonna try to get out there, man, for sure, for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
it was definitely a pleasure to have you on a podcast, and glad to have had this conversation with you because we see each other in crossing, and again, like a lot of the work that you're doing. I just want to say keep it up.
Thank you, appreciate it, man. And thank you for having me back uh, on part two.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Anytime, anytime. You can follow me on Instagram at D._major music as well. Same thing on TikTok. Subscribe to Major Music, ENT on YouTube, as well as whatever your favorite podcast platform. Please go ahead, leave a review. Let me know you checked out the show. And if you are an artist, you're a creator, you're a producer, please hit me up on one of those platforms and we'll get you on a podcast. Until next time, we are out.
Major Music.